On today's episode, we're coming to you from the annual communication of Grand Lodge at the Royal York Hotel.
You're listening to The First Three Knocks, a Masonic podcast in the District of York, where we discuss topics for the betterment of Masonry. The opinions discussed in this podcast are those of the individual and do not represent the views of Grand Lodge or any other Masonic body. Now, here are your hosts.
Good afternoon, brethren.
Good afternoon.
We made it to the annual communication of Grand Lodge.
We did. It wasn't that bad of a trip in after all this morning, although we left well before the sun came up.
What time did we get up this morning? 4 o'clock, 4:30?
My alarm went off at like 5:15, and it was an early start for me. I'm not normally used to that, but well worth it. We had a lot of fun on the ride. We had our next, or one of our podcast guests in there, so we did one on the fly too. That was a lot of fun as well. Made the trip quick.
I'm pretty excited to see how that one turns out. That was our first mobile podcast recording with Worshipful Brother Mike Redmond. So we got some great insight from him. That was really fantastic. So here we are at the Royal York Hotel, the infamous Royal York Hotel in downtown Toronto. And it is the annual communication of Grand Lodge. So it kicked off yesterday, Tuesday. I had the pleasure of being down here. We had actually the Grand Lodge meeting this morning. It has just been a whirlwind of people and topics and things to do and things to see. And Brother Steve Sprott, it's your first time here, and Brother Scovio, your first time here as well.
Absolutely, It is, yeah.
Maybe we'll just talk about some of your impressions. You both arrived here today. What do you see? What do you think?
Well, again, I know Masonry is quite a large organization, one of the biggest ones in the world. And I really got to see a snapshot of that today in the procession of all the Right Worshipfuls and past Grand Masters and District Deputy Grand Masters and Worshipful Masters and all the visiting brethren across the country and beyond. Yeah. So that was pretty impressive to again really get a good firsthand snapshot of that.
Yeah, it's quite the procession. I think that's the first time I've seen that many pipers coming through on a procession.
I tried to use our app and go live on it to do a quick stream, and it didn't record the way I wanted to. So I got them on the way out. I'll be adding that later because they were fantastic.
Oh, that is very cool. Very cool. How about you, Brother Sprott? What are your thoughts?
I got here a little later and didn't really. I didn't take part in the meeting, but I showed up and. First thing, there were so many people here. I didn't realize how many people there were going to be, and there are a lot here. Checked out some of the booths that they had, the different services. The Masonic eye chip is here. If you want to go get fitted for a tuxedo, they have people here for that. So I was just kind of touring around, and I was very impressed at everything that they offered here, and the Masonic Foundation. And just everything around. It's just a lot going on, and I really have to dedicate some time to after the podcast and go tour around a little bit more. Yeah, I didn't see as much as I'd like so far, so looking forward to that.
Still some more time here this afternoon, so good opportunity. I also, this is my second time coming down, and I very much enjoyed kind of the pomp and ceremony of the Grand Lodge procession this morning. One, because I got to be in it for the first time as a master, which was really cool. But just the whole experience, there's Grand Masters here from all around North America. I mean, we had the Grand Master of Ohio here. We've got most of the province Grand Masters are here, Newfoundland, Saskatchewan, BC. We heard a speech from the Grand Master of BC and Yukon. It was really, really impressive what goes on at Grand Lodge.
And, I think one of the speakers this morning in one of his committee reports said there is a representative from every single province and territory here in this annual communication meeting today, which was, again, really impressive, coming from all walks within Canada and then, like you said, the States and beyond. So it's blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, the one thing that really got me this morning that I didn't expect was because we have so many Grand Lodge officers and Grand Masters from around North America was the Grand Honors that are being done for the brethren, and to see it done in unison with so many brethren, it was awe-inspiring.
Yeah,
I was awestruck, honestly, when that part came up. It was was really impressive. So there's a lot going on here. I had the good fortune of being down here yesterday. Came down at noon with another brother from the Rising Sun Lodge, and we helped our district deputy Grand Master get set up in his room. And of course, on Tuesday afternoons, they have a lot of seminars, Masonic topics that they cover, and I had the good fortune of attending 2 specific ones. First was the College of Freemasonry, which was put on by Right Worshipful Brother Rick Cadot, which was an excellent topic to cover. I certainly have that on my agenda to do when I'm finish my master years, is to jump into that. And I would highly encourage the brethren to look into the College of Freemasonry. I mean, I learned a lot about it yesterday, but for the money, it can't be beat. The modules that they offer, the insight, the mentorship and support that they give in their program, it's really, really impressive. So definitely that was something interesting that I got to sit through. And then later on in the afternoon, we had the good fortune of hearing from Right Worshipful Brother Art DeCecco, who is on the leadership committee. Yeah. And he did a piece on officer progression. Really cool. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff on officer progression, just being involved with the Wardens Association and of course our own lodge. But what they did is they broke down the different books. So you have the Book of the Work, you have the Book of the Mechanics, and you have, of course, the Book of Constitution. And basically went through each role with those 3 lenses and said, these are all the things you need to do to be a junior steward, to be a junior deacon, a junior warden, et cetera, et cetera. So it was really, really well done. I really enjoyed that part. And that was a lot of fun. So I think we missed a couple of key seminars. They had strategic planning, which was a great one. Yeah. And many others that were on there. So for brethren, for next year, big encouragement to come down. If you're going to come down to the annual communication, come on the Tuesday afternoon, see some of the seminars, and also gives you the opportunity to walk around and talk to some of the concordant bodies that are in the hallway. I think there's quite a few here actually, right?
I think they're all here,
yeah,
including all the youth organizations that are affiliated to the craft as well. So
yep.
It's awesome. I mean, to also talk about, it's nice to come with your brethren from your lodge, but rest assured, if you are planning and you are making your way on your own, the first 2 minutes of arriving, I'd lost yourself and worshipful Brother Redmond, but I had 2 fellas walk up to me and introduce themselves, and we were chatting up like we've known each other for forever. So again, it's very friendly. Even sitting and having lunch today, we had a fella come over and introduce himself and saw us with our jackets on and whatnot. So again, it's Masons have taken over Toronto this particular week, and it's just again refreshing to see and be a part of.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a shout out for the app as well and the social media team. I got to go in with the Worshipful Masters this morning, and everybody knows the app. Yeah, everybody's connected to the app and using it. I know you put all the Grand Lodge information on
it
the
was
app
came at pretty much almost the 11th hour, but Right Worshipful Brother Rickman called me on Thursday and said, is there any way we can keep everybody well informed and tell them what's going on with Grand Lodge? I mean, again, we did get all the information over the last month through our secretaries and our own lodges, but it was a perfect opportunity to showcase I guess the fluidity of the app and being able to kind of put things in there on the go and have featured everything, which highlights and gives them a real nice big picture too. Mm-hmm. And again, it was for me, I've had a couple of guys ask about certain things with our hospitality suite or certain meetings, and I'm like, well, if you don't have the app here, it's right there. Yeah. And again, at your fingertips. And yesterday when we did catch wind of what room the hospitality suite was in, I got the email in the morning from Right Worshipful Brother Rickman again, was able to update it, and it automatically sent an email out to everybody. And then shortly after, we also had our district communication brother send that out too. So, I mean, talk about, again, giving access immediately, quick, fast, easy. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to say that it's actually working. I know some buildings, you don't get a lot of great service, so it's not up to speed, but it's been working here in this building so far, and it's been a wonderful tool to use.
A funny story, I was a little struggling to get up here to meet you guys to record the podcast, and of course I ran into, 10 or 12 Masons on the way here, and the recurring theme that I heard was, hey, good job on the app. I just grabbed all the information off of it. I found out where the hospitality room was. I knew how to get here. what room our meeting's going to be in, and that just warms my heart, because I think that's the hard work that you've done putting that together.
Well, we'll also talk about the podcast, because we just did an open house at our own lodge last weekend and threw a quick picture up to say, hey guys, the crew will be there and we will see you. And I don't know how many handful of brethren we got out there saying, we'll be there. I got one brother sent us a picture of who he looked like, so that if he didn't find us, we'd be able to find him.
We're looking for him.
Again, we got some traction going on, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been positive, and it actually speaks of our Grand Master's sentiments that he put out there today.
Yeah.
Positive vision moving forward. And so, again, it was nice to hear that, and then know inside that this is exactly what we're doing, without knowing that that was part of his vision. So,
Yeah, I thought his speech was really on point this
Absolutely.
morning. You talked
Absolutely.
about positivity. He certainly shared that message. The thing that struck me a little bit was the amount of change that Grand Lodge has been through. They've restructured, and they've changed the way of working, essentially, to be more efficient. That really came through, and that was a big job for that group to get that done. So I think that they deserve some kudos for that. And even, it hasn't been an easy time in Masonry. I think we have to be honest about that. We've seen some declining numbers, and it's easy to get kind of down in the dumps about that. But the members that we do have are strong.
Yeah.
And I was just going through a few stats here from our membership. We went from 36,000 in 2017 down to 34 or almost 35. So we net lost a couple of thousand Masons, whether that's through moving on to the Grand Lodge above or demits or what have you. But you look at some of the numbers behind guys who are coming in as well, and we're not fully covering that, but we're getting some real quality Masons come in, and we've seen it certainly in our lodge. I know we've seen it at Zaradatha as well, and many of the other lodges in the district. Talk to any Mason here from any district, and it's the same story, same challenges that we're facing. So I think I applaud Grand Lodge for being open, for being flexible and trying some new things. That's definitely going to be helping. I think the stuff that we're doing, as an example, is also a platform or a way of communicating that maybe wasn't there before. So we continue finding new ways to really highlight Masonry. Absolutely. Some interesting stats I wanted to share from this morning's info, but buttons awarded during the 2018 calendar year. I found this really fascinating.
I was just going to go there.
Oh, well, go ahead, please.
I was like, oh my God.
It's yours.
Well, no, we'll share it, but 50 year a Mason. So that means a brother has been in the craft for 50 years, and there were 264 awards or pins given to the brethren out there in the Grand Lodge of Canada and the province of Ontario. That's just amazing, but there's even more. Bert, let's go.
Yeah, so 60 years a Mason, and we did one.
Yeah.
And we thought we were very unique, honestly,
Right.
But Rising Sun, but it turns out there was 130 of those
amazing.
done in 2018.
70 years a Mason, 19 members out there got that this year. And that's, I mean, again, when I say 50 and 60 years are impressive, 70 years.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's just hard to fathom.
Working your way up to 3/4 of a century, which is next.
Which is next. 75 years a Mason. There was one. You can imagine, of course, the numbers drop off as you go. But the fact that somebody has been a Mason for 75 years, that is absolutely phenomenal. And then there's the next category here, past masters and past DDGMs.
That's amazing. 50 years past master, 27. 60 years a past master, 2. And finally, 50 years a past district deputy grand master, 1. Again, you don't know these stats. You don't see them unless you come to these kind of events.
Yeah.
And they're really highlighted. And these are special achievements in their lives. I could just imagine. Hopefully one day we can get there as well. But, who knows?
Yeah, it's really impressive. That kind of highlights for me the desire and the type of people that are Freemasons. To think that you would follow an organization and be dedicated to it for 70 years or 75 years, that is phenomenal. Yeah. That is a level of dedication that very rarely exists in the world today. And I think it's one of the things that makes Freemasonry so unique, is that level of care and dedication.
Well, I can speak on personal experience in that I've been on different board of directors and find that after a few years of doing the same thing, it becomes a little bit cumbersome and tiring, and I guess I lose my motivation. And to see these numbers from the 50 years to the 75 years, it talks and speaks volumes and highlights the fact that I'm sure these brethren have had some difficult times in their careers here as Masons, but they were still, going down that course, and they're still around, and that's amazing. It really talks again of what Masonry does to the individual man, and helps that foundation, building them stronger, better, and I'm only imagining that when you get to those levels, you only just want to share and support the others coming in, and by leading by example. So again, it's a whole different thing, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed just down in the ballroom area was there's a lot of younger guys around. That is a good sign.
Yeah.
That there's interest, and I mean that on two fronts. One, obviously, Freemasonry needs new members to join to be viable for the future. So I think that's obvious. But more importantly, there's new members down here at Grand Lodge. And if you think about the structure of a lodge, I joined the lodge, I don't know what I'm doing, I hope people help me out, and they tend to do that. But that's kind of your world, is your lodge. And then there's a bigger group, which is the district. And then there's a bigger group yet than that, which is Grand Lodge. And I think the fact that there's so many young Masons here is a great opportunity, because they're starting to see the tools and resources and mentorship available to Freemasonry. Like for myself, definitely attending some of those seminars is, I got to take advantage of some of these tools. I got to reach out to some of these brothers. There's a bunch of stuff in here I frankly didn't know existed, and I can take advantage of, our lodge can take advantage of, and brothers can take advantage of it, and then maybe not know all the available tools, because Masonry is so broad. There's so many topics, there's so many things to cover. But it's why I'm such a big fan of coming down to the annual communication, because I think you can really fill your boots, so to speak.
I was having a conversation yesterday with one of the brothers in our lodge, and we were just talking about getting up there, and I told him I was coming to the early morning meeting, and he said, well, what's the benefit of it? And I said, well, I don't know. This will be my first year. I can clearly tell him now the benefit of, again, the experience you have in seeing what's around you, and again, all the brass and all the experience and all the knowledge and the willingness to open to a complete stranger who's your brother, because you see the apron he's wearing or the lapel pin he might have, and know that you have that commonality of just, again, wanting to be a better and improved person. So there's many benefits, and I think to each of their own, you'll experience your own along the way. But I can honestly say now, being to my first Grand Lodge communication, that that would probably be one of the things you don't want to miss going forward, is that Grand Lodge meeting held in the morning on that Wednesday. At least this time Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was impressive. One story that kind of stuck with me this morning was from our Grand Master, Paul E. Todd, and he talked about the fact when he joined the lodge, I believe it was in Carleton Place, when he joined Freemasonry, and the impact that it had on him at the time.
Yeah. When
he was in, I think you mentioned, being in a dark place, and it really helped him personally. And he talked about being, a blue-collar guy and working, and how Masonry has changed him so profoundly.
Yeah.
And you think about the fact that he's leading an organization of 33,000 Masons in Ontario with confidence and ease. He's running the Grand Lodge.
He was such a pro up there. Again, I know it's his second year and it's his final year, but man, he looked like he'd been up there for many years.
Yeah.
And again, my first experience, but I echo those same sentiments you just said. It was nice to see, a regular Joe just like us, who had some difficult times, who was referred to Masonry to suggest that it might be something that is kind of that missing piece. We've talked about it in our podcasts in the past, and we talked about it at lunch. I wonder if when he decided to become a Mason and applied and went and became an EA and a Fellowcraft and a Master Mason, and then made his way to the East, I wonder if he ever envisioned himself being the Grand Master of Canada in the province of Ontario.
Yeah.
How does that fall upon you, or how do you trip across that, or is it something that you just truly fall in love with the craft and just want to give more and more and more?
Yeah.
And so again, it'd be nice to try to speak with him and see what his thoughts are.
Yeah, definitely. This is a personal invitation to Most Worshipful Brother Paulie Todd to come join us on the podcast. Now that he may have a little more time, as his official time as Grand Master is winding down, we'd definitely love to have him on the show and learn more about his experience, of course. But he articulated it so well. Yep. He articulated it so well, and it was easy to connect with him on that front.
And again, to point out, you always think of some of these Grand Lodge officers as very distinguished gentlemen in their certain professions. But he was a blue-collar guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody and anybody are welcome in this craft, and you get what you put in out of it. So, fantastic.
The other thing that really struck me from this morning was the camaraderie between the Grand Masters.
Oh, yeah.
The visitation that they do to each other. I mean, our Grand Master has been to Ohio, he's been to South Dakota, he's been to, name a conference, he's been there. And then, of course, their Grand Masters are coming here, and you could see the camaraderie between these guys. They're supporting each other, just like we do in our district.
Yeah.
Going and traveling to different lodges. You see that happening at Grand Lodge.
It's a higher level of official visits, right?
Yeah, it really is.
And to me, again, it was an eye-opener. Again, I know we're a worldwide craft, but when they did the roll call to call upon all the Canadian Grand Lodge representatives throughout the world, they went through pretty much every state and almost every country in the world. It took a little while, but we got there. But it was an eye-opener again to say, wow, we have our own representatives here within Canada that represent Canada at those levels in those countries and those places. And it really does, mesh what this whole craft is all about. Again, it's hard to really explain it through speaking. You have to see it to believe it. But hopefully we're giving you an idea as to what we experienced this morning. And it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really well done. And it's not over. I mean, there's more to go.
We're just on break right now.
Yeah, we're just on break right now. I know Brother Sprott just arrived here a little while ago and wants to get down to see some of that swag. But, as a starting point, I don't know if you've noticed my tie, but I think that is pretty chic.
I went and bought the same socks, by the way.
Oh, you do? Yeah, I got my Masonic socks on.
That's what's on my list. I'm going down for the socks.
Yeah. You got
Can't
a
have
half
too
an
many
hour
socks,
or so.
yeah.
We have to get some first 3 Knox socks made. That'll be the next iteration of swag going out.
Well, I think our goals for next year is to possibly get a table to share a little bit more of what we're doing with the Brethren at Large, and I think we're going to have a much better plan to put a few things forward, moving forward in this new year. And so again, look for some swag that might be coming your way. It'd be fantastic to get your support even more, and everything we get we'll be putting right back into this whole project that we're working on. So
and I think it's worth mentioning also just a bit of a shout out to you, Steve, for the work that you've done. I know you just launched us on Instagram. Excellent content on there already, and a lot of feedback coming.
A lot of great feedback so far. Yep.
A lot of stuff coming
very
from around the world.
surprised, actually. Yeah.
So that's been brilliant, and of course the work that you've done technically here with the show. I mean, I've heard a lot of comments from folks like this is a professionally done show, and it's because of the work that you're doing to make this sound good.
And timing was perfect because, again, brother, you're fairly new into this craft. Like when this idea was spawned, your name was put forward, and we thought, all right, well, let's meet this guy. And it really has been your dedication to this project that has brought it up so many levels in such a short period of time. And we can't wait to see what else you have up your sleeve to come down the ropes.
Well, I saw the opportunity there coming into a fresh perspective into Masonry. I saw there was kind of a gap, a void, and I thought what I could bring to the team, and this is it, and hopefully it does help the way we are expecting it to, and the way we've been driving to do. But yeah, it's just kind of having those new avenues. There's not a ton of Canadian podcasts out there, and I know when I was trying to learn about Masonry, I was searching for podcasts and Canadian podcasts, because everyone that I met as I was entering into Freemasonry said, the American stuff's great, but they don't do it the exact same way that the Canadians do. So I really wanted a Canadian perspective, and so coming in, I thought this would be great for us to have. So
Well, again, well done, sir.
Excellent job. Yeah, absolutely.
So, again, this is our quick perspective on it. We have a lot of folks that we're going to try to snag and coerce them into coming into our room.
Yep.
Without coming off creepy. And so I'm going to.
I saw you lurking around a pillar earlier. I saw what you were up to.
So maybe we'll take a break at this point. We'll wrap this particular podcast up. We'll go down, let Steve buy a couple ties and whatnot.
Yeah.
We'll go make some more friends, and we'll see who else can maybe
Do they
join
make
us.
ties for guys that are 7'8"? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
They have to make them out of bed sheets.
Bow ties is the
Bow
way
ties
to go.
it is, yeah.
Well, brethren, that's the first Grand Lodge communication on the first 3 knocks.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the First 3 Knocks. Happy to meet, sorry to part, happy to meet again.